Hey guys, welcome back. All right, so this is going to be a bonus general message. Oh, I thought I was going to be able to get to videos this morning and I was unable to. So instead, here we are now late tonight. Thanks for your patience, guys. It's been a real whirlwind 2 days and I have been like saturated, sopping wet every time I take Aries out, which he does not like to get sopping wet, by the way, but he does love to get dried off when we come home from our walks. And so it's been, I'll put it this way. The one thing that my Aries loves is the extra time and attention that he gets when I drive my dog. Hey, MP, how are you, sweetheart? All right, we've got Libra to start this out. So this energy is diplomatic and gracious. It seeks harmony and balance in relationships. So we'll keep in mind the idea that my pup does really love some additional, time and, attention. And now we'll couple it with this concept of the Libra energy, the balance of the scales. Now, the fact that for this story, obviously we're starting out with the energy of someone wanting to be diplomatic and gracious. So my question is, in what context are they wanting to do that? What is the scenario? For the scenario, you know what? I don't know why, but I'm going to go with this deck next. Hey, Ms. Hermit. Pamela Tours, how are you, honey? Hi, Carol. So if someone wants to be gracious and is seeking harmony, blessings in disguise. We've got an awful lot of masks here. We may have a character who is recognizing that, well, honestly, I it's not just that they're recognizing it. They may say, oh, what's that old saying? You can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Their desire to have harmony may be 100% true, but they may have said, you know what, if I put on this mask, it's going to be real soft and someone is going to like want to connect with me. They'll want to communicate with me if I show myself as this version of me. Someone who's here to seek peace, make peace. I don't know that I believe this is what I'm getting at. I'm dancing around it a little bit there. Now I landed the plane. I wonder if we've got a character who is saying that they want to produce harmony. Actually, you know what? Let's change decks. Nothing's come out yet. Who is our character that wants to make harmony? Lover, elder. Okay, so they may have communicated to someone who gave them advice. When you want to make peace with your partner or with your prospective romantic partner, come in like a lover. Treat them with that energy of like you're focused on them, you care about what they have to say, nurture it, be kind, be romantic. Oh my gosh. The only thing is, maybe this isn't a lack of truth, then maybe this is a character who truly is saying, you know what, I need to show them my softer self. Like we all have different faces that we wear, right? The example I use of myself is like when I am, out of my element traveling, I've learned it's best to not be uber smiley, but rather be more business until I feel like, okay, now it feels more comfortable and I can let my guard down. There's a certain, there's a business side of me, a not so smiley side of me. And then there's the real me that's a lot more easygoing and, kind of affable. But it serves me well to have that other side that can kind of be a little bit more like, here's the boundary. Don't step across it until I've built some kind of rapport and some trust. It's kind of important to have that ability also. Even though that I had to work on, it didn't come natural to me. That's the kind of thing that I want to say this character is realizing, that showing their softer face has been encouraged to them by an elder, someone who said to them, or they just gained this wisdom because, how do we treat people that we love? Hopefully we treat them with gentleness. We show them that I want things to work with you, not like, oh, we're in a conflict and I'm so pissed off about this conflict, but rather, wait a second, I love this person. I want to get through the conflict. So let me show them that side of myself, that I want to work through it. So we may have a Libra who is really deciding to put effort in. And that's not them being false, even though it is them thinking it out and saying, how can I get what I want out of this? What do I need to do? I think that's, at first I was like, oh, I don't know, I don't like the masks. Is it going to be someone who's faking something? But this says no, because of that elder card. I'm going to say they're not faking it. They're actually thinking it out. Of course, anytime we want something, whether we know it or not, we contemplate how do I need to behave to get what I want? Meaning, what action do I take? What's my plan? What steps do I take? What do I need to do? Sometimes that's the subconscious, though, that drives us, but this person might be a little bit more cerebral because it is Libra energy. So it could be very much thinking it out and saying, wait a minute, how do I want to connect with this person? And that could be the blessing in disguise, because this character who's stepping into that Libra energy of wanting to seek harmony, wanting to be gracious, if they had conflict with someone, the blessing might be that they had to think it out and say, wait a second, if there's conflict with a person that I love and I have to think about how should I handle them, wow, that might have been like a real eye-opener. How should I handle anyone that I care about when there's conflict? I could probably try a version of this tactic. I mean, we're not going to romance our boss, if there's conflict in the workplace, but we would listen. We would be gracious. We would tell them that, I'm working toward resolution. I care to hear what you have to say. It has value. It has merit. I want to work this out, And so I think that there's a diplomacy in this, although this person's motive seems to be all about romance. They would like their lover back, or they would like to calm things down with a lover. We have an Ace of Wands, and then we have the Three of Cups sideways. I think the other thing this person is coming to the conclusion of is, yes, there are other fish in the sea. If this doesn't work out, sure, they can move on. But if they want things to work out with one person, don't go trying to chat up other people. Be clear on where your intentions are, because if they're scattered at all, if they're like, well, I'll try to work things out with this person, but at the same time, I'll be texting somebody else. It's kind of like, oh, screw that. You don't have any clarity on what you want. I think they realize that part too. I should be clear. If I want to work stuff out with one person, there's my focus. I put everything I've got into it. And then if it doesn't work out, then we sever ties and we go someplace else. But you don't start saying, well, I really want this, but because I'm not sure it'll work out, I'll get something brewing over here. I think this character knows not to pull that stunt. Okay, so what might be the outcome here? Well, it looks like they might just get what they want as far as coming in out of the cold. We got the Five of Pentacles in the reverse. That's good. Hey, David. Hi, Jessica. Diana Jackson. Hey. Tammy, how are you, honey? Eli, Mike, great to see everybody. Thanks for being here. We got a Three of Swords coming in out of the cold and being able to sit down and address the elephant in the room, which was some kind of upheaval, maybe a shocking, like painful experience that occurred here. Let me just, I do want to ask what it was. They're trying to open up a platform to communicate about something that either was a betrayal or felt like a betrayal. I'm not sure that it was one. We have a Four of Wands. We have a Seven of Pentacles. Okay, please remember that these are fictional stories, but I will read the story however we get, good, bad, or ugly. This lead character who wants to create a space to communicate to someone that they actually have romantic feelings for, that they're very passionate about, they are finally, and I say finally, coming to the conclusion that here's what I need to do in order to communicate to my person, to talk to them. I have to explain things, but I have to explain first to them that they matter to me, and create a space so that we can talk. We can talk about the giant thing that went wrong. The giant thing that went wrong, either this person was married or they were already in some commitment, but whomever they're in love with was their I'm going to say alternate reality that they wanted to someday be able to have. If that was the betrayal, is that there was already a Four of Wands, yet they were looking through the portal saying, but I want that life later on with you. I want a Four of Wands with you later on. I can see how that would look like a big betrayal. Probably to, whomever their current partner was, and to the person that they were projecting that they wanted to be with. Nine of Pentacles in the reverse. So in this story, this is going to be a little ratchety. They didn't want the individual that they consider their lover to consider themselves single anymore. Ooh, is Sassy Kate gonna come on out and ride through this on her motorcycle? I feel my irritation starting to hop on my hog and get it started. That's what I always picture when my attitude gets going. I picture myself like, I don't, by the way, don't ride motorcycles, never want to. But that's why it's so funny. That's my alter ego. Just something loud is what I'm picturing. Page of Pentacles. I think that they were trying to secure this person, even though they didn't have anything to offer. So they're trying to create a platform and a space where they could communicate with this person and say, like, I have this love. I need to begin with that. Now, can we find a place to come in out of the cold so that we can address the betrayal, the heartbreak, I wanted this Four of Wands. Maybe I already had a Four of Wands, but I wanted it with you later on down the road. And I didn't want you to slip through my fingers. I keep doing this with my hands. So that's what I'm going to say. I didn't want you to slip through my fingers. I didn't want you to see yourself as single, even though I didn't have much to give you. Like, that's kind of their dialogue right now. I'm struggling with this because the energy being diplomatic and gracious, seeking harmony and balance in relationships. Well, darling, you started off on the wrong foot to create balance and harmony now, didn't you? I'm sorry. Now we go back to that mask thing. Someone did wear a mask at some point. Why is that a blessing in disguise? Hold on. We got to look at that. Why does it say blessing in disguise? Page of Wands. Well, what I will say is, for our lead character, and we'll just call them the Libra, okay, because they're the ones trying to have this communication. For the Libra, the blessing in disguise is that they want now very much to like build a strong foundation with someone who I think they probably already did pretty dirty, pretty wrong. But the fact that there's been this conflict, the one blessing in disguise is that they have to come clean about all of it. So there's no more mask wearing. They also maybe got a little bit more in touch with what they actually wanted. When a character finally figures out what they genuinely want, that can be the motivation for them to arrange their life, or in this case, rearrange their life, and even propel them to become a better person. I'm not saying they look like they were so awesome here if they were being dishonest about things. Tell me one more time on that Four of Wands, because maybe I've got them all wrong, but that's what I saw. We got a Six of Wands in the reverse. We got the Queen of Wands upright. Awful lot of wand energy. I feel like this character, they didn't try to get with someone to stoke their ego. They fell for, now we can name the person that they're in love with. Could be a Leo, Sag, Aries, doesn't have to be. But they fell for this Queen of Wands. It wasn't an ego boost. In fact, if anything, falling for her, him, her, doesn't matter. I don't read for genders, but we're going to say her from now on, just so we can keep the storyline straight. This Libra character fell for her, and they were not proud of themselves for this. That, to their credit, okay, that's good. It almost kind of feels like one of those things where they were just like, but I love her, I want to be with her. Down the road, I can see myself being with her. Why were they not able to be with her at that point in time? Two of Pentacles, too many juggling acts, too much up in the San Juanita's world. I'm so glad you got your card today. Thank you. I'm so glad. I feel more like they were either juggling things still. They have the Chariot. They have the Two of Wands. Yeah. All this indecisive energy about, can I move forward? Could I change my circumstances? Could I change my life? I may have a Four of Wands already where my life is highly organized, but I've fallen for someone that I'm in love with. Could I change everything in my life and move forward? And then that was a very big undertaking. Now, again, my big hang up on all of this is, why not explain all of this? Now, maybe this didn't happen a long time ago. Maybe this all, maybe there has been some elapse of time, although there had to have been, because we already saw the Three of Swords, the betrayal in this. So they did not present themselves accurately. What have they got to say about not having presented themselves accurately? Oh, I loathe these stories that pop out. I loathe these ones. The Fool, they feel like a fool. They took I don't know what the circumstances were. The Fool can be, someone was out traveling, they met her, they fell head over heels, they were out of their normal environment, so they had like this disconnect from the reality of what their life is, and for that one little, flash of holiday time, they decided to pretend that, yeah, I mean, I can be single. I can change my life. I can be with this amazing Queen of Wands. It feels like a big leap of faith was taken because they fell for her. What about the Four of Wands situation in the background, though, that they've had? We've got a Queen of Wands in the reverse. You know what it says is somebody doesn't like them. Whoever they're currently with, which ironically could also be a Leo, Sag, Aries, doesn't like them. Well, I don't really like them. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, but I don't. What's the reason for all this? Handle things. You want to be gracious now, says that first card, but where was the grace and the maturity right out of the gate? There's got to be some level of self-control in life. We don't just get to walk around and say, well, I've already got this other person, but they don't like me very much. So you know what? I'm going to indulge my own desire, which is, wow, I found this other Queen of Wands. She does seem to like me and I really like her. So I'll jump in. I won't tell her the truth. Also won't tell the other person the truth. But you know what? I'm entitled to do that. Well, here's the thing. They are entitled to do this. But what happens is Three of Swords. Now they want to be gracious. And I don't know. I'm just not buying it. I'm so not in love with this character. How is this thing going to shake out? Let's get through this one because I'm not too keen on this. Hanged Man. There's a lot of thinking that's going to go on. There's a lot of holding on, holding back, contemplating things from different perspectives. Seven of Wands, Ace of Swords, Two of Swords. On one hand, I don't think that this new Queen of Wands wants to talk to him. I think in this story, and please know, I am just the storyteller. I'm not trying to give them a pass. They felt caged and they wanted whatever their situation was with the other Queen of Wands. Does not look like it was a great one. It looks like it was something that was probably pretty stressful, pretty full of obstacles. And, can we blame anybody for wanting to free themselves from an unhappy situation? No. But to free oneself, one has to take that truth, that step of truth, and they have to take control of their own future and their own behavior, and they have to use the Ace of Swords to cut themselves free, to acknowledge, why am I cutting myself free? Oh, because I don't want to be in one situation anymore. And then they still have to use that truth to connect with the other person. And the thing is, they got to be able to do that without trying to set themselves up so they can leapfrog from one person's lily pad to the next. That is the biggest issue that I see, is that that's what they did. They were in a situation that they wanted to be free of. Okay, fine, relationships end. We don't blame them for that. But if they wanted to go, they should have cut themselves free. Instead, and I think they acknowledge this, what they did is they sat there and they said, well, there's this one queen that doesn't like me. I'd like to leave this situation. She'd probably like me to leave too. But then there's this new queen and I'd like to be with them. But let me think about when I do this. It just feels like they really needed to get to the truth of why they did it this way. And I think that's more important here than them being oh so diplomatic and trying to talk to this Queen of Wands that they kind of already betrayed by not telling her the truth in the first place. I think they need to figure out why they handled it this way. I know I'm holding these characters highly accountable. I do that a lot in my stories. Why did they? Can they answer that question? What's the real reason that they did that? Five of Cups, Page of Wands, the Hermit. There's an awful lot about loneliness in this. This person may not like being alone. There's but if I end one thing, somebody will be sad. Really? Or is it them that would be sad because they'd be letting go of someone? Then they would have to go find somebody new to be with. And what if they don't? Then they'd be alone with their own thoughts and mind. I am more inclined to say, I think this character, even though they never admitted it to themselves, let's go back to that card, the masks. I think they learned something important about themselves. They wanted to leapfrog one relationship to the other, or maybe I should say monkey branch, so when monkeys swing from one vine and then they grab onto the next one. So for a moment, they're holding onto two vines. I feel like that's what this person did, because it's they that didn't want to be alone. They'd rather be in a situation that isn't good rather than leave it and be totally alone and then meet someone new. So instead, they held on to something that they weren't happy with and found something that they did want. Well, that didn't earn them a lot of good brownie points here, from what I can tell, because they're having to create a space now that there's been a Three of Swords, now there's been a betrayal. Now they're going to have to try to create a space to be gracious and blah, 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 and diplomatic and all the things that they already should have been. I think they're learning this about themselves. I don't know if they're going to be able to say that out loud, to admit that, but that's a really important part of their own self-reflection in this, I think. King of Pentacles, they might be ready to own that. And owning it and recognizing that might be the real step that they needed to take to becoming a more solid, mature person. Remember, the blessing in disguise. So this whole story was actually about them learning something really important about themselves, about how important it is to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and not have a partner, not cling to one that you don't want and who doesn't want you until you can, trade for something else, but instead being able to say, no, I can be single. I'm not sure. I'm not going to dive any further into why they weren't really wanting to be completely single, but I think that was, in this story, that was their underlying reason. It wasn't to be cruel. It wasn't to be mean. It wasn't even to necessarily be so, it is selfish, but every person is selfish to a certain extent, right? We have to be. If I'm hungry, I got to eat. So get out of my way. I got to go get some food because I got to do this for me. It keeps me alive. We're all selfish in some respect. But this, I don't think that their ultimate motive was to be that. I think it was that they weren't comfortable really being alone. That Hermit card, they needed to learn how to be alone. Now, I don't know if they're going to end up with that Queen of Wands. I don't even think that's the bigger message in this, so I'm not going to follow that thread. I think this was more, they needed to learn something about themselves. And it could even be that they don't fully recognize this until they're actually talking to this Queen of Wands, having this dialogue. They might be like, oh my God, I did that. Why did I do that? I didn't want to be alone. Oh my God, that's really how I was. Sometimes people don't have revelations until they're actually writing down what we did and why we did it sometimes, and then coming back and reading it 3 days later gives us a really big insight into how our brain really works. I kind of think this person hasn't really met themselves until they go through this experience. So here's, I'm raising a glass, hoping that this character has found out more about themselves, has learned more about themselves, because I think this character really needed to learn more about themselves so they can break a cycle, so that they can identify their motives. Anyway, I'm always hoping that characters grow, right? Characters make mistakes, but hopefully we give them the grace to give them space to be able to grow as well. So cheers to you, character. I hope that you get there. And that's I hear you, Bianca. I see you. Anyway, you guys, thanks everybody for being here. And like I say, I read whatever story comes out, good, bad, or ugly. I try really hard to be as fair, but also accountable with each character, because I feel like it's the only way to be fair when we watch how they play stuff out, is to ask those tougher questions and see how those characters respond and see, what comes next. So if you guys do enjoy my fictional storytelling style, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. All right, it is time for zodiacs now. So I will be jumping over. I think we're going to start with probably Libra. Taurus is on the slate tonight. I can't think of who else, but I'll see you guys in the next. Good to see everybody. Bye, guys. Bye, Dee. Hi, Jojo.